Yes, the CRT is back, and so is actually playing old games on this channel, because Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 is out in just a couple of days. So I wanted to go back and play some of the Tony Hawk games just to get a feel, because I don't have much history with this series. I've played Tony Hawk 1 and 2 Remake and absolutely adored them. And I also played one on the DS, which is a game I put a lot of time in. And here on Retrofusion, obviously, we like to talk about old games and hopefully playing them on native hardware on a CRT, which I did with this game. But the best thing about Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure is that I didn't even know that this game existed. So the reason why I started Retrofusion is because I went to this thing called the Irish Game Market. It's a retro gaming market in Ireland. It happens every 3 or 4 months, and I went to my first one last year and absolutely fell in love with retro gaming again, so much so that I now have all these CRTs and games. I still had a lot of the old consoles, but it just ignited a fire in me, and that's the reason why I started this channel. And a couple of months ago, I was at another one of these Irish gaming markets, and when I'm there, I like to look out for games that, one, I've never played, or two, I've never heard of. Now, never hearing of a game doesn't happen that often, because if I'm being honest, I live and breathe games, I listen to podcasts, I study the industry, I know a lot about the gaming industry. It's the thing I know the most about in my whole life, and I love just learning about it and reading random things. So when a game comes across my lap that I've never heard of, I'm always interested in it. And that's when I saw Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure. And look, it's published by Activision, and it's made by Neversoft and Toys for Bob. So it is literally a Tony Hawk game with a Disney skin, which, I mean, if you grew up around the same time as me, I was born in 1998, so if you grew up from the 90s to the mid-2000s, these Disney and Pixar properties mean so much to us. It's the reason why Kingdom Hearts was so special back in the day. And now the fact that I am sitting here as Buzz Lightyear, skating around Andy's bedroom or Pizza Planet, trying to do all these ollies and tricks and build up my score and then do quests for Ham and Rex is amazing. And the second I started up this game on the PS2, I was blown away. So as you can see from this CRT footage, this game looks amazing. And most importantly, even the PAL version, which runs at 50 Hz, it runs super smooth, and you need it, because with a game like this that is so input sensitive and timing sensitive, and oh, I need to go up this ramp and do an ollie, and then when I come down, flick the analog stick up and down to start doing a grind or whatever. I don't know any of the skating terms, I'm not a skater. And then I have to go over to this rail and grind, and everything is so pixel and inch perfect and timing perfect. But the fact that this game runs so well on the PS2 had me blown away, and it meant that every time I sat down to play it on the CRT, I was really looking forward to it, because there is something very addictive about these. When it comes to these arcadey games that have a low barrier of entry but a really high skill ceiling, there's something about them that just sucks me in. If I think of Rocket League, a game that if you play it as a party game, it's so fun and you'll have a great time. Or if you dedicate hundreds or thousands of hours, which I have, to the game, you can see that there is a gigantic skill ceiling. The same goes for Crash Team Racing. And of course, the same goes for these skating games. All of these Tony Hawk games have the exact same loop of you just sitting there saying, oh, well, maybe if I go up here and grind on this rail and then jump that gap, it will boost my multiplier, and then I need to do this, and then that, and then this, and then that, and then you bail out as you do, and then you don't even get the score, because that's usually what happens. Because if you're watching the footage that I've captured on the CRT or on my Retroid Pocket, I'm not very good at these games. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, I got fairly decent at because I put a fair bit of time when it came out, but since they're games that I don't play very often, for me to get back into them takes a lot of time. And that brings me on to the adventure mode. Now, I might get certain things wrong here because I'm not a Tony Hawk Pro Skater veteran. I don't know the series inside and out. But to my understanding, Tony Hawk 1, 2, and 3 had a 2-minute limit on every single run. So you loaded into the level, you still had objectives to do, like collect the skate things or get a high score or jump this gap or do this, that, and the other. But you had to do it within a 2-minute time limit, and if you didn't do it, you basically restart the level. And that's cool for the score chasing, high score, because it puts a time limit on things. And it does give the game a bit of a frantic nature, but I always felt a disconnect because there was a certain part of me that wanted to explore these levels, but because I had that 2-minute timer, I couldn't do it. And to my understanding, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 and Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure, which I know because I played it, the story mode is slightly different because when you load into a map, you can then skate around at your leisure and do whatever you want. There are no time limits. You have goals that will be collect, you know, the Toy Story symbol, or jump this gap, or find all the power cells. Like, there's loads of these little objectives that you can do. Some of them are timed and some of them aren't. Like, you will go up to an NPC and they'll say, oh, we need you to do this trick, and they'll give you a 2-minute time limit. Or find the skate symbols and there'll be a 2-minute timer on that as well. And I much prefer this layout rather than every single run is 2 minutes, because there is something, and I've said this in other videos, about being a small guy in a big thing. And in the case of Toy Story, you are in Andy's bedroom as Buzz or Woody, skating around, you're meeting all the NPCs, and I just love that feeling of being the small guy in the big room and just being able to explore Andy's bedroom, even though I've done it in countless games before. Just being able to explore Andy's bedroom from a completely different perspective of me trying to figure out, oh, how do I get over there? Oh, I can grind on the skirting boards, or here's a shortcut that I can do, or okay, I can actually go into the racetracks and do a loop and get some speed and go up. And there's so many little bits to explore in these levels that just make it so fun. And I know in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, you can just do free skate around with no objectives, but I kind of felt that that was a bit weird, that you would usually experience the level in the 2-minute format first, and then if you really wanted it, you could go into the free skate mode afterwards. Whereas here, you're given the free skate mode the second you load into a level, and you can just go around to your heart's content and do whatever you like. And that's how you sort of test out the level and you get used to things. You're like, oh, there's a shortcut here, and if I go into this grade, it will bring me into here, and then I can jump across this gap. And then you start to like learn the ropes, and then you can start doing the harder objectives, like trying to get the super high score or trying to do this thing under a time limit. And obviously, a big thing carrying this game is the properties. As I said, I like Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I really enjoy playing them. But again, the fact that I'm Simba or I'm Timon and Pumbaa and I'm going around Pride Rock or whatever the place is called is just, I don't know, it just makes you so warm and fuzzy on the inside. And that's the whole thing about this retro channel. There's just something to licensed games from this era. Some are absolutely terrible. Some are genuinely fantastic, like this game. And as I was playing, the one thing that was gnawing at me was just thinking about Disney and Pixar now, and how, you know, this probably wouldn't happen nowadays. I mean, we still have Kingdom Hearts, but those games come out every 5 or 10 years or whatever it is. But it really does just make you long for that old style where I don't think companies cared as much about their brand identity, and they were willing to have a bit of fun with it. Like the fact that you're going around as Tarzan or Timon and Pumbaa while these crazy skater songs are playing in the background. There is absolutely no chance Disney would allow that nowadays. Now, one thing that I am really looking forward to in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 is that they've seemed to keep that crossover mentality in the games. Digital deluxe box art or whatever it is, the normal box art is reflected through the Doomslayer's helmet. And as we know, Doomslayer is a playable character. There is a Doom level. And most excitingly, on the crossover front, there's a SpongeBob level, and I'm not sure, I don't really keep up with pre-release coverage of games, but will SpongeBob or Patrick or Squidward or whatever be a playable skater? I don't know, but that gets me so excited because, to my understanding, one of the Tony Hawk games, I think you can play as Spider-Man because they're published by Activision, and Activision used to publish all the Spider-Man games. And there is just something so cool about that, and it's something that, yeah, we do have crossovers, like we do. We have Fortnite. But everything is just Fortnite. Like, Fortnite is basically crossover the game now. Everybody's in it, you know, absolutely everybody. And then you get the ones that kind of don't really make sense. Like, when I see Nicki Minaj running around in Call of Duty, I'm just like, what's going on? Like, that doesn't make sense. It should be, I don't know, give me a crossover that makes sense in Call of Duty. Maybe another shooter franchise or another action game franchise, or like give me even something like Bayonetta or, I don't know, Devil May Cry or something that makes sense, not just Nicki Minaj. And I'm not saying that SpongeBob makes sense as a crossover, but I like that in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, we are getting a crossover but in a different gameplay style, because every crossover is a third-person shooter or a first-person shooter. Maybe a fighting game, that's about it. I want something different, and I guess now we can get it with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, which I will be doing a video on, and I'm really looking forward to it, especially SpongeBob. because I fucking love SpongeBob. I started my first YouTube channel on a SpongeBob game retrospective series, which I will have to do on this channel as well. Because as you can see in the background here, we have SpongeBob SquarePants, the Cosmic Shake Special Edition that comes with an inflatable Patrick, and they're just amazing games. And soon we should hear about the new SpongeBob game, I'm hoping. So thank you very much for watching. Of course, there'll be loads of more content on Donkey Kong 64, on Donkey Kong Bonanza, on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, and a load more after that. So please look forward to it, as the Japanese companies say on their Nintendo Directs and all that. So thanks for watching. Goodbye.